Brett, explain yourself, because it's going to be infinite people. Explain the logic. It doesn't add up.
Hello, world, and welcome back to Gridiron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by the entire collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, Donnie, DP Peters, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nuwara. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, like and review on your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars only. Like Jameis Winston, who will be leading the Cleveland Browns tonight on Thursday Night Football. Every single member of the collective landed a body blow last week. 3-2, as did the card, which went 3-2 in the contest. I am now up to 59% in my top fives, while all 3 of you losers are below 500. And specifically, although you're not the lowest, Brett is down at the old 37%. But Donnie came on. He looked downtrodden. He looked sad. And I got to ask you, Donnie, you're usually the positive guy, positive Peters, but you're just moping. You're moping around like the 2024 Jets. You look like Sauce Gardner out there, just pointing fingers and just the moping is the best word that I can come up with. So, Donnie, what's going on, buddy?
I mean, it's like you just try everything and nothing works. So it's like, what's the fucking point? I mean, you know? I try and click this side, the other shit happens. I try and click that side, switch back, do this, do that, whatever. I got the fucking voodoo dolls out. I got everything trying to work over here. Nothing is working. It is so frustrating.
Well, you know what a good remedy for that is? How about 5 lone wolves and 2 of them in your top 5?
Just cancel it.
I texted the fellas. I think this is going to be a very fun episode. Short slate this week. Only 12 games that we are speaking of because we always skip TNF. And there are 6 teams on bye and only 2 split games. And we'll start in the NFC where the San Francisco 49ers travel to Wisconsin to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are -2-point favorites in the contest. And there's only one member of the collective with a very strong opinion on this game, and it's Mo Nuwara, who's taking the 2 points with the Niners. A very surprising pick to me, at least, from Mo, from one perspective. One, he hates the Packers, so not shocked that he's on the Niners in this spot. But this is kind of rule of Mo. Look at the injury report. Mo, what you like here with San Francisco in this spot?
Well, aren't these guys all going? I mean, this 49ers offense was not that good last week without George Kittle. I think they really need George Kittle. He already said he's good to go, so I'm assuming that this offense is going to be as close to whole as they can be at this point. And if they aren't the 49ers a better team than the Packers? Every metric would tell you they are, so my brain would tell me they are. So why are they getting 2 points here? Against a team that they've dominated in recent years. So I don't know. I must be missing something on this one, I guess. A team that they've dominated that doesn't have their best player on defense, maybe. They don't have Thursday's report yet, but yeah, I mean, I think the 49ers with George Kittle back in the fold will be able to move the ball. Somehow Bosa played last week, I guess, after he was saying all week he wasn't going to play. So I'm assuming he's going to be good to go again this week.
He left the game. He left the game early, however, and that's when Seattle started to march. Is when Bosa was on the sideline.
You get pressure on Jordan Love. He does stupid things sometimes. Okay, so I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Better coach, better quarterback, getting points. I don't know. Why not?
Wow.
No.
Bring the hammer down.
And you know I love Shanny, but LaFleur is top elite. And don't even start with Purdy is better than Love. He's just not. This just isn't the Niners team of years past. And Brock Purdy is not a top caliber quarterback that can be trusted to make plays in these tightly contested games, especially on the road. I like the Packers a lot. I like fading the Niners here when it looks like the public just seems to be all over them. Awful loss. Like this just doesn't add up to me. I guess seeing the Niners as a dog is an auto click for people, but I don't see it that way. I like the Packers.
I've got no opinion on this game. The two things I will say from a contest perspective, it's Packers or nothing. This Niners dogs will be top 5 for sure. Put a pin in it. And my only other opinion is if you want the Packers, then I think you should wait because San Francisco is only going to get positive news, I think, from the injury report. So this might come down a little bit. And if you like the Niners, I think you should probably grab it now. I don't think it could go any further in the direction of Green Bay. So just from a timing perspective, that's the only opinion I have on this game. A double bird game. Oops. Wrong button. As the Arizona Cardinals travel to Seattle. This is a pick'em in the contest. I've seen ones on either side this week, and Brett's got the highest opinion on this game on the aforementioned Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't really understand what's going on here. I have these two teams rated similarly. So to me, this should just be Hawks -1.5 or even -2. It's an interesting spot for the Cardinals. I almost feel like the bye week hurt them in a way. Coming off 4 straight wins, the last 2 by huge margin. Like, momentum isn't a thing, but they've been beating up on teams. Like the confidence at an all-time high for this squad. Now you come back from the bye, you got to go into Lumen Field to face a team that is riding high. But I think the Hawks are still rated too low. I think Seattle just tacks on another win here, clouds that division even more. And I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think because I thought this was an easy Seahawks play.
The most important thing to me last week was something we talked about on the pod. What is this McDonald defense going to look like with an extra week to prepare against the San Francisco 49ers? And I was pleasantly surprised. Granted, like Mo said, no Kittle for San Francisco in that game. But a Seattle defense that has struggled in a lot of spots this year came out, showed out, and gave Geno a chance to go down and win at the end, which he did. So that was the most promising thing that I saw. I think this game came down to what side do I think will be more popular in the contest, and I honestly couldn't tell. So I picked what I think is just the better team. Seattle put them low. DP, you've got the highest opinion on the other side on Zona, but you've got them in the middle. Not much confidence. So pick up the shield.
Yeah, part of it is selling the Seahawks off after beating the 49ers. So there's that. I think I see positive stuff from Arizona. I mean, I've dumped on them a crap ton in the past couple of years, but I think I see pretty good signs of a solid team on both sides of the ball, like what I see from them on offense, led by Kyler Murray, of course. And then on defense, I think they're all right. I have a lot more question marks about Seattle. Seattle was a team I was very high on coming into the season, and as the season has gone on, I know they did win last week in San Francisco, yes, but still don't really think that they're the team that we thought they were going to be. Don't think they're playing, up to the potential that I thought they'd be at, especially at this point in the season. So I'm just going to continue to kind of fade them in spots when I think they're going up against a pretty competent, good opponent, and that's Arizona here.
The point you made about the ill-timed bye week is pretty good, though, Brett, because it's not like the Cardinals are injured. This is one of the cleanest reports you're going to see this week. They didn't necessarily need that bye week. And yeah, maybe Kyler was just sat at home for an entire week playing Call of Duty and his brain is melted and he's going to come back.
Now that's the take. That's the take. He's just been sitting on his ass playing video games for a week.
Yeah. 2 weeks. He fought it so hard. The game launched and he fought it off and he played well and then he just couldn't help it. He relapsed and he's just been grinding COD for an entire week straight. All right, so short split game segment, but a very fun Lone Wolf segment coming up. Donnie, get some water, take some deep breaths, because it's going to be all you, buddy. Wanted to give a quick update on the Lone Wolf records before we get into the segment this week. There's only one member of the collective who has a winning record with their Lone Wolves, and I'm pretty sure he can guess it because he's always chirping about Mo's warnings. That's right, Mo is 9-6-2 with his Lone Wolves. Brett is a shade under 500 at 11-12, excuse me. Donnie is 12-14, and I am 8-11. So nobody doing too horrible. You want to see us performing a little bit worse, which means the majority is doing a little bit better. So very meh Lone Wolves for a very appropriate meh season from the collective. But let's get stuck into Donnie's Lone Wolves, and we'll start down on the southeastern coast. Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team. Because the blinders are back on for DP. He's got the Patriots +7 in his top 5.
I mean, I don't think Miami gets after the quarterback that well. And if May is able to sit back there and do his thing, 7 points feels like a lot to me. On the other side, I want to think, or at least maybe I did want to think previously, that Miami had potential to be an explosive offense. And I know that Tua was hurt for a lot of the year, yes. But I still have yet to see it, like, at all. Like, I just don't see, I think the potential's there, yes, but, like, can I get, like, a freaking 152 touchdown game from Tyreek to, like, believe he's, like, engaged or something? I don't know. I don't personally see it. So I think 7 is a lot here for a team in New England that I think is deservedly fighting, right? I don't think they have a really good coaching staff. I think the talent outside of May sucks on the roster, but I still think they fight pretty hard. So I'm going to take the 7.
Last week I was in your position, and I wanted to see it from the Dolphins. So much so that I was a lone wolf on the Raiders, and I had the Raiders in my top 5. Well, you know what happened on Sunday? I saw it. The Dolphins were back on their bullshit. Tua had a 98th percentile EPA per dropback performance, 99th percentile total EPA performance. The guy Mo and I dumped on, Jonnu Smith.
I was going to say, it was still all the Jonnu Smith. Is that repeatable? I don't know.
I mean, I saw a mic'd up segment with McDaniel. He was back on his bullshit, talking a lot of smack, being swaggy Mike. It felt like the 2023 Miami Dolphins were playing football last week. And who comes to town this week? Probably the worst defense in football in the New England Patriots. Yes, they are worse than the Las Vegas Raiders. So I like the fish in this spot. I'm laying the 7. I've got them in my top 5. We know the contest does not like laying points. I think that's part of this equation. And on top of that, I'm still seeing the hook on a very influential offshore book. So if that hook remains come the weekend, you're going to get even more leverage on laying. The reverse. Scratch all that.
I would be willing to bet you that the Dolphins are much more popular than the Patriots here.
That's what I'm saying. I just made a mistake.
So then what point are you trying to make here?
I made it.
Exactly. So shut up. You can't make the point.
I got to say that I was thinking about betting the over in this game, and you guys are just making me definitely want to bet the over in this game.
Well, yeah, every week we see Drake make amazing plays, and I respect that. And I think that does give the Patriots a little bit of life in this spot, getting a full touchdown. But I'm seeing the Dolphins team that was scoring like 50 points on people last year, right? Like they scored 34 last week, and still, even though I rattled off all those numbers, like Mo said, they still weren't getting the ball to Reek and Waddle. So what happens when they start hitting the explosive players with the aliens on their team? Like they can score 40 or 50 points. So yeah, I think the Dolphins are a good play in this spot. Sorry for my rambling. That was horrific. I'm going to literally start my rambling and just cut to Donnie yelling at me. So some of you people, thankfully, are not going to hear most of my ramblings there. We'll go to Donnie's next pick in his top 5, his next Wolf. He is laying the 3.5 points with the Minnesota Vikings as they travel to Chicago to take on the Bears.
I mean, I think the Vikings can get after the QB well. I personally prefer Minnesota's offense over Chicago's offense. I like the coach QB combo better. I think in this spot, people are going to be feeling a little bit high on Chicago. I know they lost last week, yes, but they were in a position to win that game, and they ultimately covered against a team that I think a lot of people are a little bit higher on than most in Green Bay. So part of this is I don't know why Chicago wouldn't be popular in this spot.
Brett, I got to go to you first, even though I am the highest on the Bears, because what if Thomas Brown matters?
Well, I think anybody matters versus the previous guy, right? Like going into this one, I think we have to ask the same question again. Like, what is the effort from this team, especially off another loss, a heartbreaking one at that? But they're still mathematically alive for a playoff berth, so that they should be playing hard this week, and they're facing a division rival here. Caleb has a lot to prove still, and he's got to feel much better about the offense coming off last week. Like there was just a different energy in that offense last week. He wasn't holding the ball. He wasn't running around like a jackass. They were sharper, and I think we continue to see that going forward. I can see them just winning this game.
0.24 EPA per dropback, and the thing that excited me the most watching that Bears offense was, oh my goodness, Caleb running. We can do this. We can actually use a guy who's mobile to run a little bit. Multiple first downs picked up by Caleb Williams in that game. And then from a Minnesota perspective, Mo, you know this because you had real American dollars in the Vikings last week against the Titans, and barring an illegal formation on a 50-yard touchdown to Calvin Ridley, that would have been a loss for you. Sam Darnold showing real pumpkin vibes as the calendar nears December, and we're looking at terrible, windy, cold weather in Chicago against a pass defense that is still second in EPA, 8th in success rate. Can Darnold, make those critical mistakes that we know are in there, standing behind an offensive line that ranks 27th in adjusted sack rate? So, yeah, I agree, Brett, that the Bears, we don't know how they're going to react to another gut-wrenching last-second loss. But if we go into this thinking that they're going to give their effort and be professionals, then I think 3.5 points at home is a pretty good click in this spot. Next Lone Wolf for DP. He's laying the 3 points on the road this time with the Philadelphia Eagles, who travel out west to take on my neighboring Los Angeles Rams.
I mean, I didn't really have any idea what to do here, so I just clicked the Eagles. I mean,
Donnie's penultimate
I think the Rams
pick.
are kind of paper tiger-y in a way. Like, I don't know. I just get vibes that they won't be as good against good teams, which I think the Eagles are, and they can beat up on some bad teams. So, yeah. If this Eagles defense continues to play all right, I think they can weaken the attack from the Rams, specifically through the air. And I like what I see from the Eagles offense, so ultimately just click them. But, I mean, I don't have like a huge opinion on this one.
Mo, we haven't gotten you involved just yet, and I was surprised to see somebody as confident as me on the Rams, but you are on the same playing field with me with Los Angeles in your top 5.
Isn't this going to be a wake-up call for the exciting whites? I mean, I'm looking at what this Eagles defense is doing. They're improving. I think that's as legitimate. I mean, they have a lot of young corners. They have Vic Fangio, who has taken some time to get his system in place. I think it's one of the more complicated systems. It takes players a while to gel into it. It takes some time, especially when you have younger players like the Eagles. I think this defense is legitimately improving. But look at the receivers they've been facing. They haven't faced a receiving combo like this basically the entire season. I mean, the last good receivers they faced was, I guess, Jamar Chase, but they didn't have T. Higgins in that game, so it wasn't the same. These young corners are going to have to take a step up in class here. So this is a much more difficult assignment for them. And then you have an Eagles passing game that is kind of playing, how do I put this? So like they've been really operating pass first in recent seasons, right? With these receivers. I think even though at times they have run the ball very well, the passing game is what's taken them places. A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts behind great pockets, finding these guys downfield. Now you have Devontae Smith injured, and you have a Rams team that does put pressure on the quarterback. And Jalen Hurts stinks when he's under pressure because his arm is terrible. So I feel like the Rams could get some stops here, and you have an Eagles team that doesn't really like to blitz against a quarterback who is great at times, but makes boneheaded decisions sometimes when he's under pressure. So if they can keep Stafford, I think he can pick these secondary apart, man. I think the Eagles being favored is fair. I just don't think they should be laying 3.
Yeah, I think it's just far too rich. You brought up the receivers the Eagles have faced. I mean, just look at the teams that they've beaten recently, right? It's the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. It's the Jaguars, who they let come back into the game and had the ball with a game-winning drive opportunity in Philadelphia. Even like you look at the Commanders, like, yeah, it's a good offense, but they don't have receivers. They have Terry McLaurin and then a bunch of guys. Like, this is a much tougher assignment. It was a rookie quarterback on his first short week on the road, traditionally a horrible spot for a team. It's the Bengals without T. Higgins. It's the Giants. It's the Deshaun Watson Browns, right? And then the last time they played an offense with a good quarterback and multiple good receivers, it was the Bucs who went out and scored 33 and beat them by 2 touchdowns. So I don't know why this game isn't closer to pick. I do agree with you. I think the Eagles should be shaded as favorites in this spot, but at a full 3, with this amount of juice, it's Rams money bet line. It's Rams +3. I'm shocked. This doesn't even appear to be a very expensive 3 right now. I thought this would be like a super expensive 3, just daring people to bet enough money to bring it off of 3 to 2.5, but they're not even doing that right now. So.
I think people love betting the Rams with points, though, so I'm concerned about popularity here.
I know, but 36% of the tickets on the Rams right now. I do agree with you. I think this is going to be, especially on a short week, I think this is going to be like 1,500 Eagles, 1,300 Rams, or some combination where both are in the thousands. All right, Donnie's last pick. Oh, no, sorry. This is your penultimate pick. You are laying the 7.5 points with the Houston Texans, who play host to Brett's beloved Tennessee Titans.
I mean, these last 2 shouldn't even count as lone wolves for me. I mean, they're my last 2 picks. Just did whatever. I mean, this one I wrote, it's going to be too popular to play this one, but Nico's got 1 game back under his belt, and you never have any idea what to expect from freaking Will Levis because that guy's a disaster. So what am I supposed to do here?
Brett knows what you're supposed to do because once again, he's got the Tennessee Titans in his top 5.
This is martingale, dude.
It's a wonder exactly I'm hitting 37% this year, right? It's a wonder. Yes, I keep buying the Titans at their bottom, so here we go again. Like I watch this team every week, and I look at the numbers. They don't rate out as badly as the record shows. In their last 4 games, they've averaged more yards per play than each of their 4 opponents. Lions, Pats, Chargers, Vikings. 3 of those are playoff teams, but Tennessee has failed to cover every single time. This is not going to last. Yes, this is martingale. They're not playing poor football. Will Levis actually looks like an NFL quarterback right now, and this defense sits just outside the top 10 in the league in DVOA. So with this sitting north of 7 and the number climbing, it's up to 8.5 now. Yeah, the Titans are in my top 5 again. I'm fully prepared to go down with this ship, but I'm confident in the process. I know this has to be the right play, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt once again.
Brett sounds like he's doing the monologue from A Few Good Men. Did you put the Titans in your top 5? You're goddamn right I did.
If like what Donnie said last week about he's like, oh, what's the first thing everybody does in the contest? Circle the Detroit Lions. What's the second thing everyone probably does in the contest? Circle whoever's playing the Titans.
No, I think give the what they do. I forget.
You said that they picked the Chiefs, but I don't agree with that either. I think a lot of people love fading the Chiefs, especially this year. Man, if it was any team but Houston, because the one thing about Houston is they are playing tremendous defense right now. I told you guys many weeks ago, Al-Shaair matters. He is this team's Fred Warner. And since he's come back, this unit has looked like the top 5 unit that DeMeco Ryans was trying to build. They looked so good against the Lions, of course, forcing 5 interceptions from Jared Goff. And then, of course, it is Cooper Rush, but they strangled the life out of the Cowboys last week. They beat them so much into submission that on, a 4th and 15 down 20 points, the Cowboys just punted in the fourth quarter instead of you have to go for it. You can't just quit in pro football, but McCarthy just trots out the punt team. So that's my big fear. I do think this is Titans or nothing, but I am scared to death of this Texans defense making Will Levis do stupid.
Under 41, dude. I was looking at this. I'm like, I love this under, dude, because aren't the Titans built to stop what the Texans are trying to do this year? They just want to plunge now with Mixon. You can't do that on the Titans. They're going to have to throw the ball if they want to move the ball. But then I don't know how the Titans are scoring any points. So we might need 17-14 to cover this game.
How are we going to explain Tank Dell's rookie season to the children in 20 years? Like he the Monstars took his powers. Like he's just like a random dude playing football now. He was tremendous.
Well, this might be one of those, I'm hoping it's not like Pollard, because he had a similar injury to what happened to Pollard. And I saw some metrics last year about Pollard where he was like one of the worst in the first half, but second half of the season, he was like actually closer to himself. So maybe it just takes like half a season or whatever to get back from that. Because he had like that same similar lower leg break where somebody rolls up on your ankle or whatever. And maybe he just still needs more time.
Let's hope, because he was legitimately awesome last year. And the Texans are certainly going to need it with Diggs coming off of an ACL injury next year. Like, who the hell knows? He's a free agent, too. So who the hell knows what that receiver room is going to look like outside of the GOAT that is Nico Collins. DP's last lone wolf. Finally, we've got there. And he listened to the warnings of one ODB who looked into the future. I haven't seen this. What's the Dune movie with the guy with the something going in his nose? Speaking of Al-Shaair, is it Lis Al-Saib? I have no idea. But ODB has seen into the future. He knows how this episode is going to go. And DP, I think you just listened to ODB and you went ahead and clicked the Broncos -6 in Las Vegas.
Listen, I know full well I was going to be a lone wolf on this stupid pick. This should be Broncos -14, and I don't fucking care what you tell me, okay? This is ridiculous. So, out of principle, when I know the spread should be that, I'm clicking the right side, and I don't care if I'm a lone wolf. I don't care if this is anti-contest. I don't care about any of that junk, okay? This is ridiculous that the Broncos are -6 against this crap bag Raiders team. Are you serious? They're going to blow the doors off this team. The only argument that you have here is that it's a contest play to take the Raiders, and I'm just not doing that. I'm not doing that in this spot. It's so ridiculous. Like, if you would have given me like Broncos -10, okay, yeah, maybe I'll talk myself into contest play. -6, get the hell out of here.
Imagine laying 10 with Bo Nix on the road.
Donnie wants a bottom third offense to lay 10 points
on the road
in
Vegas when it's going to be full of Denver fans. Speaking of ODB, he's talking about going to the damn game in a Knicks jersey. Like, that's what you're going to get.
ODB might be leading
F1's in town, man. Come on. There's not going to be no damn Raiders fans there. The Raiders are horrific.
Minotti, take it away.
This is just a spot. Like the Broncos were a spot last week. We love Bo Nix and the Broncos last week because we didn't feel the Falcons could pressure him and disrupt any rhythm in that offense. And it came through in a big way. It's a different matchup this week, though. Like, Vegas can actually generate pressure with one of the best in the world on the edge in Crosby. I will say the injuries for the Raiders are a concern. They are a problem right now. So I think if we're looking at this one on the card, maybe wait until Saturday. But I just can't justify laying 6 or 10 or 14 with Knicks against anybody. So yeah, I like the Raiders in the contest. I think there's going to be some leverage there. And I like the Raiders money line as well. I think they're a sneaky bet this week because the Broncos are a team you can pick on situationally.
Mo, I mean, I think Brett left this group chat on Twitter because there was too much going on and Brett just didn't want to be a part of it. But I mean, ODB, Mo literally went line by line exactly what Brett was going to say.
I've never seen Donnie that disgusted after he said Raiders money line. That was amazing.
Look at the price.
Yeah, but you know why you can't take Raiders money line is because it should be Broncos minus 14. So you are doing yourself an injustice by only taking that price. It is not good enough. You are getting screwed over by the sports books, okay? You can't do it.
I already did it.
My concern was just that, like, yeah, I mean, Donnie might be right that this is just, it's a professional organization. That's what the Broncos are. They come out and do their jobs. Those teams cream the Raiders and these bad teams. The Raiders are an embarrassment of an organization, but I couldn't click the other side because if Broncos aren't in the top 5, I'm going to be amazed.
Well, they're going to be number 1. What are the top 5? Like, they're literally going to be number 1.
Yeah, this is tough. Man. The only way I see the Broncos covering in this spot is if the Raiders score like 10 points, honestly. If the Raiders are somewhat competitive on offense, I'm sorry, Bo Nix just does not have the capacity to right now to run a passing offense on the road. I know that it's not going to be a sea of silver and black, but you just can't have the 25th pass offense in success rate and be 6-point favorites on the road in pro football. Unless you're playing like the Saints, who were trotting out God knows who back on Thursday Night Football. And by the way, I was a lone wolf on the Broncos in that spot because that was Spencer Rattler and Jake Hayner and just guys who will like not be in the league in 3 years. We're playing football. I know Gardner Minshew stinks. I know these guys stink, but the Raiders still have professional football players, especially on defense, which hopefully Bo Nix throws to multiple times. All right, Mo's only lone wolf once again. This time, Mo, did you have the Falcons in your top 5 last week? No, I think you were just confident in them, but you didn't have them in your top 5. This week, I literally had to text Mo because I thought the other side was going to be the collective pick. And I had to say, Mo, are you sure that you purposefully put an X next to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as 6-point favorites against the Giants?
I mean, it's DeVito. You got the only weakness the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have, mainly, I guess, is their secondary is atrocious. The Ravens clowned these guys. They could have scored 70, and they don't even have that great of a passing offense. I know statistically they do, but they still have Lamar Jackson and a bunch
keep making the points for us.
But it's DeVito. How is he going to take advantage? He's the worst quarterback we've ever seen, you guys. DeVito is... Who was that guy we tried to fade for the Jags a few years ago? And
Jake
then,
Luton.
DeVito is Jake Luton. And then he covered against us, and then he disappeared into the ether. He never played another game, probably. I don't know. But DeVito is Jake Luton, guys. He is, I know we love backup quarterbacks. He is way below the threshold, guys. Way below. He can't complete a pass. He's just going to go out there and scramble.
Good enough for me.
I mean, this is telling me that the difference between Dimes and DeVito is a full field goal. That can't be right.
Why not?
Because Dimes is awful.
Hasn't DeVito won more pro games than Daniel Jones has over the past 2 seasons? Like, why are we giving 3 points to Jones over DeVito here? That doesn't make any sense.
And the thing that I come to in this spot is, and I don't know how much Daboll even cares about this job, but, you know, the way this season ends is going to definitely determine what his future is, if at all, as a head coach in this league, or if he'll have to go back to being an offensive coordinator. But when it came down to it, and he had to make a decision as to who to play quarterback that wasn't named Daniel Jones because of the contract situation where if Jones sustains an injury, the Giants are on the hook for a bunch of money. He had to pick between Tommy Cutlets and Drew Lock, and he picked Cutlets. And Daboll is a guy that's pretty sharp, that I generally trust. And yeah, Mo, you brought up the biggest thing is that this Bucs secondary is horrifying. And I really like the Giants pass catchers. Obviously, Neighbors is a demon. I've always liked Wandale. I've always liked Darius Slayton. So we just need to scheme guys open. And Cutlets just needs to deliver the ball. Just like last week.
He can't complete passes, though. He can't.
Just like last week, Mo. Every single member of the collective has the opposing side.
He had
in
8 yards in a pro game against the Jets. Didn't that happen last year?
Well, yeah, the Jets were incredibly elite. This is not an incredibly elite defense. Brett, you were the highest on Mr. Cutlets.
DeVito 17 for 21 against Green Bay last year with like Isaiah Hodgins and nobody else. So like he got it done last year. He won 2 football games last year. Again, how many games has Daniel Jones won over the past 2 years? I don't agree with the market reaction to DeVito here. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the Giants are better at football in a lot of ways. Like they're better on both sides of the trenches, aren't they? They're gonna dominate at the wide receiver position too. Like Tampa Bay has quite possibly the worst pass defense in the NFL. So if DeVito can get some time or scramble, get out of the pocket, find Neighbors or Wandale, I don't see why they can't have some success on offense. I just think this is just rule of back quarterback, and we already know what we're getting with DeVito. He's bad, yes, but I think he can win. I think he can win this football game. This is another money line bet for me. I like some big dogs this week on the money line, so I'm going to have
parlay these money lines.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm absolutely going to be doing that.
If this was 6 points,
I'm going to let you maniacs talk me out of putting real American dollars on the Bucs, which I was going to do for the record.
Mo, if this was 6 points with Mac Jones, would you bet the Giants?
I've seen Mac Jones complete passes in NFL games, so maybe.
If
I don't
this
know.
was 6 points with Bailey Zappi, would you take the Giants?
He might be below the threshold too, man. Listen, if it was Carson Wentz, I'm all in.
What about Cooper Rush?
He's above the threshold, I think. I think maybe.
These
What
are
if it
all
was
the
Drew Lock?
guys. I'm just going through. These are all the guys who have a worse EPA per play than Tommy DeVito over the last 2 years.
Now do CPOE.
These guys all have a higher composite. Excuse me. It's a EPA per play CPOA composite score. Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, Anthony Richardson, who I'm not even going to bring up because obviously we would all take Richardson. Simeon.
This guy is a sideshow, you guys. I mean, he's
Nothing
not even
wrong with
a
that,
real
man.
NFL player.
All right,
It might not matter though, because like I said, the Giants are better at several phases. So
yeah.
He's a guy. He might not meet the threshold, but I don't think it matters when you're getting 6 against the Bucs, who aren't good at football.
This is another game where what's the total in this game?
Low.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, take
40,
the
I
over.
think.
41.5. This is an over. This is a dead over.
I
game.
mean, and how does the Giants locker room respond now? Because they know they put in
They
a worse
love it.
quarterback.
What do you mean they love it?
Why
They
would they
love their
love
guy
it?
DeVito. And what Dimes is a stiff. They finally kicked his ass out of the QB position. What are you talking about? They're going to be so hyped behind this guy. How are they
might
not?
They might love Locke though. Is
Yeah,
Locke
I
still?
think they-
is,
yeah.
is Locke still rapping in the locker room? He might
Supposedly,
be a crowd
Locke
favorite.
pooped his pants in the preseason. So they were just like, that's why they're like, we can't even play this guy.
Whatever. Locke's a gamer. Put him in when it matters. He'll get it done.
I remember that game-winning drive for the Hawks last year when Gino got hurt.
That's what I mean. Come on. Put the team on his back.
Mo's single lone wolf is the Bucs. And then Donnie has the Broncos, Texans, Eagles, Vikings, and Patriots. All right, strap in. It's time for the Week 12 card.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
There is only one consensus pick that is going to make the card this week, despite there being 4 consensus selections from the collective. My top pick was that consensus pick. It was sniped by the collective machine. So I have to go to my number 2, which is the Los Angeles Rams +3 Sunday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. Come on, Matthew Stafford. Come on, Puka Nacua. And come on, you bum, Cooper Kupp. Catch the ball. Make some plays. Mo's up next. He's got a split contest that I don't love. I know Brett's not going to love. It is.
For now, I have the 49ers, but I'm willing to negotiate.
The thing about the negotiations is your second pick was the Rams, which I sniped. And your third pick is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which all of us have in our top 5s. DP, you're up next, and I don't know what you're gonna have to do some shuffling, my guy, because I'm not letting this pick go on the card.
That's fine. I mean, listen. So my number 2 pick was originally my number 1, and then I said to myself, well, I can't put a freaking road favorite on the stupid card, so I need to switch. So then I switched, and now here I am in this spot. I would prefer to go with my number 3.
There it is.
If that's possible.
It is a consensus pick. It is not the collective pick.
Boom,
so let's
put it
just
on.
say the first pick that Donnie had was the Patriots. I was not going to allow that pick on because I'm all about the fish this week. His second pick was the Vikings, which was another lone wolf. And his third pick is a road dog that we all have, and it is
Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys? Mo, you're making faces over there, but Brett has the worst face because he's the lowest on
Okay,
the
Brett,
Cowboys.
explain yourself because it's going to be infinite people on the Commanders. Infinite.
I know,
This is
but-
your spot. You should be here saying like contest play, contest play, contest play.
Yeah, but they're gonna lose by 30. It's
And so
it's a
are the
bit-
Raiders, but you're over here taking the Raiders on the freaking money line, bro.
Yeah, but Washington-
Explain the logic. It doesn't add up.
Washington actually has an offense though that can score points. The Broncos don't. So
They scored 38 last
Yeah,
week.
what are you talking about? And the Raiders have an offense? The Raiders blow.
So,
I don't know. You guys tell me.
I mean, how are Jane Daniels' ribs? Okay? Because in order to cover 10 points in professional football, the quarterback needs to be able to play at their peak performance. And he has not run at all these last couple of weeks with this rib injury. And that seems it is for sure predetermined by Cliff Kingsbury, the play caller, and also Jaden Daniels himself not being willing to take off. Dallas has the stink. I mean, when are we going to get... I mean, I guess it was last week with the stupid Jaguars where we have double-digit points and we have leverage. Like, how many times are you going to get a big amount of leverage with a double-digit dog in this contest? This is one of those rare spots. It is very, very, very stinky. But the other thing that Dallas has going for them is they were playing, again, a top 5 defense last week in the Texans, right? It was very hard for them to get anything going. This Washington defense specifically defending the pass is very, very iffy. And Mo,
Dude,
the Cowboys have a guy named CD. Yeah, it's the guy. The Cowboys have a guy named CD Lamb.
I kind of wanted to love Dallas. I actually artificially moved them up because I just like them better, just feel play than some of these other ones that my numbers are telling me are better, like the Colts. What would I rather do? Probably just take 10 with a Dallas team that I think can score on Washington, like you said. I mean, and when you look at Washington, they do seem to be coming back to earth a bit. I mean, they smashed all these bad teams by 30 early in the year, so I'm worried that that's what this is again. But maybe people are starting to figure Washington out a bit because this offense has not been lighting the world on fire anymore. And Dallas, they should be able to move the ball some here because, like you said, mismatch on the outside. You have a Washington defense that statistically stinks against the run as well. I mean, they're just getting everything done through blitzing and scheme. So this is on Mike McCarthy to quit being a loser, get in the lab and figure it out, buddy, because Washington is only doing this with coaching. They don't have good players on defense.
The other point I was going to say is there are some very stark splits for Mr. Kingsbury between first half of the season and second half of the season. So as we enter these later months, maybe this Washington offense will look a little less like it did in the first half, where, like Mo said, it has played the 26th toughest schedule to date, whereas Dallas has played the 4th toughest schedule so far. Brett, you were last, and Donnie will have to turn away.
I mean, whatever I decide to do here, whether that's my first pick or my second pick, somebody's going to be pissed off. I got the Raiders on the card.
Absolute fucking banana land.
This is just for ODB to laugh at us, and we deserve it.
ODB, I am not on this side. You heard me earlier. Minus 14 Denver. All the alternates. What on earth is this pick?
Yeah, I much prefer your number 2, which is the G-Man. But it's your pick. You can ruminate, and we'll move
Got a couple
on.
days.
That's right. To the collective machine.
The collective chooses. Keep running the ball, Steichen, the Indianapolis Colts.
I said this in the Gridiron Gamble Discord, bit.ly/Discord Moose. Last week I sat down, and as I started doing my capping, I just immediately put the Chargers in my top pick. It was just like knee-jerk. I don't even need to dig in that much. I knew it in my bones that was going to be my top play. I had the same exact feeling this week when I sat down and I looked at Lions at Colts. Steichen put his big boy pants on last week, put his nerd glasses down, looked at his team, and said, I need to stop being the smartest guy in the room, and I need to coach to my quarterback strengths. And Anthony Richardson looked very good on the road against a defense that isn't what it used to be, but is still probably an average unit in the NFL. I know I see a lot of green over here on this Lions defense. I still don't trust them, you guys. And now that Hutchinson's out for the year and Alex Anzalone is now joining him on IR, those two guys matter a lot to this defense that I already didn't trust.
Exciting white?
That's it. This is the I already know the podcast title. I said this last week, the week before Thanksgiving, a little bit of a lull there. This is 7.5, and there's no reason, although the Lions do like running it up, as we saw last week as they beat a pro football team by infinite. They just need to win. They don't need to win by margin. I don't know, guys. I think the Colts are going to win this football game. And I think I think this is the Anthony Richardson coming out party. Dare I say it, Mo? This is going to be the craziest take. Is there a world where this is better coach, better quarterback? Does that world exist?
The worst take of the year. I mean,
Finally, I got you on my side with Dan Campbell. Finally, I got him.
I mean, listen, I wanted to love the Colts, man. I'm looking at this game and I'm like, I think this line should just be 7. Maybe it should be 6.5.
That's the other thing it's a very expensive 7.5. It's a very expensive 7.5, and it could go to 7. And I don't think people will care because 89% of the tickets are on Detroit right now. And I think just like they do every single week, the first thing they're going to do is put the Lions in their top 5.
Yeah, because they win by 30 every week. But man, I am terrified to fade this Lions team. I know the Colts are the right side, but this is scary. I mean, this is in some ways scarier than the Jags, even though I was pretty sure the Jags were going to lose by 40. I at least thought, okay, maybe they'll be down 20 and they can score a touchdown at the end of the game. That can't happen now. We actually need the Colts to be in a competitive football game.
Donnie, you were the lowest on the Indianapolis Colts. Are you just gun shy after putting the Jags?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm gun shy on this one. I also have the Panthers plus 10.5. I'm gun shy there too. Like that's where I had those two lower. I mean, the Lions, like Mo said, they beat everyone by 35 every week. I mean, it's like what? It's unbelievable.
Indianapolis'
what's the Colts, Giants, and Raiders parlay at money line?
Well, somebody looks that up.
Ooh.
The other thing is Indy's weapons have never been healthier than they are right now. I think this is the first week of the season where neither Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, or Josh Downs is even on the injury report. I think this is the spot, you guys. Do we have the parlay?
No, because I've got like 17 authenticators for DraftKings to log in, so it's going to take me a little minute.
All right, then we'll go to the other two consensus. Go ahead, Mo.
Yeah, I was going to say, so then we need to talk about some of these other games, and I want to talk about the Panthers because Donnie mentioned them, and I might switch to the Panthers. I have the Panthers in my top 5. This is a game where, like, I feel... Donnie says 44-1, I think.
Now add Titans.
Donnie, you're on mute.
Can I add the Cowboys in there too?
Sure.
Why not, right? I mean, if you're going to try and bring down the casino, I mean, you might as well bring down the fucking casino.
300-1. Mo, continue with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I just feel like this is a game where both teams are going to run the ball a lot. So laying double digits isn't that attractive to me. So I'm naturally thinking the Panthers might be the side above 10 here, especially when the market is moving to the Chiefs, I think. So I think everybody's expecting the bounce back for the Chiefs, but I think the Panthers are going to run the ball a lot, shorten the game. I think the Chiefs getting Isaiah Pacheco back are going to be looking to run the ball as well. And probably Andy Reid doesn't care to blow out the Panthers. I think he just wants to go in there, get a 6-point win, and get out of there. And I kind of think it might be legitimate, especially after the bye, that Bryce Young is playing somewhat decent football and gelling with these younger receivers, Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker. They actually seem to be building a rapport, guys. Like, this might actually be a pro football team now.
10.5 in the contest. You said it correctly. It's 11 right now in real life. 73% of the tickets are on Kansas City. And you also get Thielen back off of the hamstring injury, no injury designation. He was a limited participant, excuse me. But he is set to go. And we know how much the Chiefs have struggled against slot receivers thus far this year. So he might be able to eat in the middle there. And they get to pull the tarp off of the Ferrari that is Jonathan Brooks. And we can see what the kid has in his first week of action in pro football. Donnie, what was the number there? I couldn't see. I have my screen.
$100 to win 110,000 or some shit. I don't even know.
Oh, there it is. We have several years.
I'm gonna bet it, and then they're gonna ban me from the casino.
You mean they're gonna send you VIP offers the next week?
There's gonna be a girl with sparklers at your front door tomorrow morning. The final.
So
lone
the
wolf.
Panthers were consensus then, right?
They were a consensus. Excuse me. Why did I say lone wolf? The final consensus pick. The Baltimore Ravens travel to my neighborhood to take on the Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football. And we all have the Chargers. Nobody has them in their top 5. Brett, you and I have them bubbling the top 5. From a contest perspective, the fact that we're not getting the full 3 is very interesting. But, Brett, the thing that puts the fear of God in me, and the reason why I didn't put this in my top 5, is when the Bengals went demon time last week and spread it out and played super aggressive, the Chargers didn't seem to have very many answers on defense. And that was a Bengals team, which I don't think is as talented as a Ravens team quarterbacked by Lamar Jackson. So I was very happy with the prospects of getting leverage with the Chargers in this spot, but sometimes I just close my eyes in the spot, and I think Lamar is going to drop 40 on the Chargers.
He could. I think you just have to believe that the Chargers are going to unleash Herbert to attack this Ravens secondary. Like, this guy is unbelievable, and his coach has all the trust in him too. So this is such a huge spot. Monday Night Football against the Ravens. Like, I just feel like this is the coming out party for Herbert. This could be it. He's still the most unheralded quarterback in the league. This could be it. And getting points, I think we find out who the Chargers really are here. Finally, I do kind of like them here.
The other angle on this, I want to pull up the exact quote. I put this in the group chat with ODB as well, because the last time that the Harbaugh brothers met as opponents coaching against one another was that Super Bowl. I can't pull up the exact quote right now, but basically it was just your classic wonky Jim Harbaugh quote. And he was like, he thought he'd never have a chance again in his entire life to beat his brother. So you want to talk about quintuple circled. This is definitely that for Jim. Mo, you are the lowest on the Chargers in the spot.
Yeah, my concern here is that the Chargers don't have the horses at wide receiver to take advantage of this kind of poor Ravens secondary. That's my worry here. I know the quarterback can do it. I just don't know if he has the horses to throw to in this spot. So that's why
exciting
ultimately.
Whites. Speaking of exciting whites,
Ladd
is
McConkey,
that,
man.
Ladd's that dude.
I was reading,
he's that dude. I'm sorry, he's that dude.
He's been like the best receiver in the league against man, according to like PFF's tracking.
Oh yeah,
and
it
the Ravens
the
play an
test.
above average amount of man, so he might be the look here if you want to go prop hunting.
And Will Dissly.
I scooped Will Dissly in the league where I somehow, even though I have two good tight ends, they're both on bye, so I needed to use my waiver priority to get that exciting white Will Dissly.
I scooped up Will Dissly in a league where I too have two good tight ends, both of whom were playing this week. I'm this close to going 3 tight end formation this week because there's 2 flex spots. Because I've got K-Dot and Hunter Henry and now Will Dissly, and this is an apocalypse of buys this week because the teams that are on bye all have good offenses. So yeah, I might be going the old 13 formation in the OG Dynasty League. To be determined. So the card right now is Rams, Niners, not Patriots. What did you switch to, Donnie? Cowboys,
Panthers,
Raiders,
Panthers.
Oh, it's an official. It's an official swap. Rams for Mo. Rams, Panthers, Cowboys, Raiders, Colts. So we've
This is the ugliest collective card of the year.
Let me go through it.
It's bad.
We've got Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl. Did he win the MVP? No, they gave that to Cup. Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Hall of Famer.
Scumbag. Slot merchant Cooper Kupp stealing the MVP from Odell. Then Mo has Bryce Young. DP's got Cooper Rush. Brett's got Gardner Minshew. And then the collective machine spit out. This is the week for Anthony Richardson. I follow these guys on Twitter at Donnie_Peters, at Brett Colson, COLLSON, and at Mo Nuwara, NUWWARAH. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll be back in your ears next Thursday. Until then, peace.